Hello, and let's get into today's Mindset Monday broadcast. This is going to be a juicy one, and we're going to be having a deep conversation about the difference between sacrificing and compromising because I feel like a lot of us get it wrong and it ends up negatively impacting the things that we have to deal with in our life. Before we get started with that conversation, I would be remiss if I did not remind you that the doors to the Leading in Healthcare Mentorship are still open for enrollment. This is an 8-week mentorship for either aspiring leaders in healthcare, new leaders in healthcare, or existing leaders in healthcare that haven't got the tools that they needed to be successful and just want to come back to basics and get the foundation for what true leadership is all about. This is about like high performance leadership. High performance leadership, how I teach it, is a little bit different. Actually, it's a lot different than this crap that you get out here nowadays. High performance leadership is about you, first and foremost, redeveloping, restructuring, reprogramming your mental mindset and your internal psychology so that you are able to show up in your personal life and professional life at your peak, at your best. And you're able to do it no matter what is going on in the outside world, no matter how chaotic things get, no matter how many ups and downs you experience. You're able to find this center inside of yourself to be that rock so that you can perform at your peak level for a sustained period of time without compromising your mind, your body, your soul, right? So that's the first part of what I teach in this mentorship. And also, the second thing, a lot of times when we get into this leadership training, we're taught how to do our reports or like this basic surface stuff around how to be a leader. And we often miss out on teaching leaders the tactical things that they need to actually lead effectively: communication skills, how to have difficult conversations, how to motivate their team members, um, evaluations, all of that kind of stuff is also included in this mentorship. So if you want to go on an 8-week journey in a safe environment where you're going to be taught the two different phases of how you can combine these in synergy to be the best leader that you want to be, which not only benefits your professional career, but it also benefits your work life, your financial life, your relationships, all of that, then make sure you check out the Leading in Healthcare Mentorship. I will have information wherever you are watching or listening to this episode. Now, let's get into the topic of the difference between sacrifice versus compromise. Again, this episode was inspired from a conference that I recently spoke at, and there was a young lady that had a question about how she was trying to promote essentialism into her life, which is essentially minimalism for your mind, body, and soul. That's just the best way to look at it. So she was trying to look and evaluate the things that she was exerting her energy into in her life and see what was actually essential, what versus what was not. And one thing that she came across was that she had this opportunity to do Doctors Without Borders that really, really sung to her heart, her mind, her body, soul. Like everything in her body was a yes. But she also had this opportunity familial wise, so her family that maybe needed her at the same time. And so she was trying to decide, do I choose what my family needs or do I choose this thing that's really calling my mind, body, and soul? So if you can relate, then we don't need to go any further. But for some of you, this may be you having these things that you are deemed to be values. That's basically what it comes down to: your personal values versus the values of something else. And are you willing to bend on your values and go along with these other values, or are you willing to stay strong? So, this is where we get it wrong. And I'm not, and I made it very clear to her that by her choosing her family, it doesn't mean that that was the wrong choice. But if she had values, inherent values in herself to go out and serve, and everything in her body, her mind, her body, and soul was giving her this dream and this vision and this desire to go out and do Doctors Without Borders, and she chose the familiar route, which she did because that was also a right thing to do. However, it wasn't in line with the values that really pulled at her. Then she didn't compromise. And she thought she had made a compromise by doing that. Well, I couldn't do Doctors Without Borders. I need to stay here and I need to do what I need to do for my family. What she had made was a sacrifice. The difference between a compromise and a sacrifice is maybe you bend a little on the values that you have, but when you totally discard things that you feel are inherently true to who you are as a person for the wants, the needs of other people, other things, then you are not compromising, you are sacrificing. And I want you to understand the difference because what ended up happening to her is she was still restless. And I've seen it in other clients where they feel depression, they feel boredom, they feel resentment towards the choice that they made, resentment toward whatever they think made them make the choice. And the reason why that all comes up, those feelings crop up, is because you sacrificed on a value that was important to you versus compromise. Um, Let me give you like a personal type of issue so maybe it'll hit home a little more. Let's say in your mind, your body, and soul, one of your values, one of your core values is having a family, and you are so thirsty and so scared to be alone, or you have this lack of love, or whatever it is that you get with a partner that does not have that value of family like you do. A lot of times, what we end up doing is trying to change that person to come around to our values, which is inappropriate and manipulative. Even if it's you consider it to be positive, it's still manipulative, and it usually ends up bringing tension, resentment, all the things. So you either try to change the person to come along to your value, or because you value a big family, you compromise. You don't have a family. This person is happy because they stuck true to their value of not having a family. You compromise because you didn't have that big family. And now you wonder why down the line there's something that you want them to bend on when it comes to their values. And because they're strong in who they are, they say no. And you're like, well, wait, I sacrificed, or excuse me, I compromised and I didn't have this family for you. So why can't you do the same for me? Resentment, tension, all the things built up. You need to understand that when you get to the core of who you are and you bend the core of who you are for situations, places, circumstances, people, then that's not their problem. That's your problem because you have now moved into the realm of sacrifice. And sometimes it's okay to make that sacrifice if you know, or it's okay to make the sacrifice, understanding that you may feel while you're making that sacrifice resentful, uneasy, unhappy, whatever, which is not that person, place, things issue for them to fix for you. That's something for you to work out on your own. So sometimes, yes, we do have to make sacrifices on our values, and we need to understand that those sacrifices are going to bring feelings that are uneasy, but we need to work through those in general. But for the most part, a lot of us just don't understand that there's a difference between compromise and sacrifice. And if you want any little piece of advice, that for some of you, if you don't have the boundaries, if you don't have the self love, the self respect, you haven't been taught this, you're going to have a hard time understanding that when it comes to your personal core values, you do not sacrifice your personal core values. Anything other than that, you can make a compromise. You can say, okay, I want a family, but I'll wait a year. You get on board or not, we break up. I don't know. But you never sacrifice on your core values. And now let's bring it into the professional realm, just so you can tie it back to what we talk about here on these episodes. If you are in an organization, because I had to quit, I had to really like, look, I ain't coming back tomorrow because it's out of control and y'all ain't fixing it. If you are in an organization that has went against your values and you've chosen to sacrifice your values for your paycheck, for your career, what have you, at the end of the day, even though your job, your career is wrong, Inherently, you are the one that didn't stand firm in your values. And so if you're feeling ill will, if you're feeling taken advantage of, if you're feeling burned out and you're feeling stressed out because your organization doesn't value you, then we need to come back to your own values. And did you value your own values? And maybe once you start to work out from there, you will understand that not only in your personal life, but also your professional life, there may be areas for you to come back to self, come back to who you are, your inner values, and start to align the different areas of your life with the things that you value so that you feel happier, you feel lighter, you feel free, you feel good about the way that you show up at work, all the things. So, let me know what you think about this episode. It's a little bit different, but because it did come from, it was sparked from a conversation that we had at a conference, I figured that I would share this with you in case it was something that you were dealing with as well. And until then, I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Don't forget about joining the Leading in Healthcare Mentorship if you like stuff like that and you want me to lead you on an 8-week journey that will change not only your work life, but your personal life, your mind, your body, your soul. Then check it out. All right. I'll talk